Hey everyone, this is Chris, and you're listening to One Cross Radio, and you're about to listen to part 2 of a conversation with 5 friends. Hope you enjoy.
Lundgren.
That man is a genius. He's got a PhD in mechanical engineering or chemical science.
Which, one of my favorite stories involving him is someone broke into his house.
I was just going to say that.
They broke into his house.
And he locked him in the basement. And
No. As they were breaking into the house, there was trackable footprints across the room, across the floor. They get to a point where they see a painting.
No, hold on.
Okay, sorry. Different version of the story. Okay.
They found a woman in there, and they tied her up and threatened her, and then...
Right, they saw a picture of Dolph, and they realized it was his house. They put everything back and just went out the way they came in. So
that was great, yeah.
You don't mess with Dolph Lundgren.
Yeah, the guy's jerked.
Yep.
And he's a fairly well-established jiu-jitsu black belt, and he's got a bunch of other martial arts under his belt. Which is
why I really liked in the first Expendables, where you actually saw him throw down with Jet Li, because most of the time whenever you see him, it's just like he's the huge guy.
I want to see him in an Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind kind of role, just like
a dramatic
role. Yeah.
You know who I want to see act? I don't know. You guys probably don't know this. Remember what you're about to say, please.
Yes. Yeah.
I think his name's Jonathan Van Nuys or Van Ness from Queer Eye for the Straight Guy. That guy has such an expressive face. Like, his face looks like he has seen a lifetime of pain and sorrow. And I'm like,
sure he has.
He could either, I mean, that's true. But like, when you look on his face, I'm like, he could play something like super, super serious. Like, maybe he lost his family and he's like, he's looking to reunite with like someone or something, he's on this really hard journey, or
like you need to write a movie for this man,
or I want to, or the Road-esque sort of thing, right? Or something where he is insane, like evil
in the membrane.
Yeah, because it's just, I don't know, man. That guy,
he could be a good joke.
Yeah, he could. If only he could act. What were you gonna
say? Just because we were saying like Dolph Lundgren like playing a really dramatic role, I'm like, my now movie I most want is a super duper serious heavy acting movie, but with the entire cast of the Expendables. I'm in. Like,
I see.
I'd actually be in, like, because there could be comedy with it, but I'll go to bat for him. I really do think Stallone can act. Like, Stallone can actually be a really good actor.
Another guy who's also surprisingly bright.
Yeah,
he is hyper articulate.
Yeah,
which you don't expect when you watch an interview. You're like,
it's really can't understand him talk.
But like when you watch through like Rambo or Rocky 6 or Creed, like he acts like he's a really good actor.
Oh yeah.
But then it'd be really funny to see Arnold Schwarzenegger in a drama role where it's just beyond like
no.
Open up, there's a bomb in there.
Is that as far?
Yeah. No. I mean.
Yeah.
The one word. Sorry.
All right, time it. 104.44.
Right, just put a
Was I the only one? No, I couldn't have been.
You've been the only one who's cussed this entire time.
Twice. That's twice now.
That's pretty good.
It's 3 times.
Yeah, that's pretty
twice.
Good. What was the third one?
Yeah, what was the third one? There was the first part. Just now. That's twice.
It was all
Just keep them in and bleep them, because that's amazing. It was just bleep right now. Please Chris, do it. Oh man, please do it.
It needs to stay in.
It's comedic gold, man.
If I don't cut it, I'll make a special version for you guys like I did last time.
We already know what happened.
Just
Other people need to know.
Just bleep it, it's all good.
Bleep it, man. It's Darko. They already know he's a scum.
Scum or skunk?
A little bit A, a little bit of B.
Scumpy.
Forced skunk.
Or a scump over here.
Oh, man.
Oh, you almost got it.
Oh, my head hurts from laughter. All right, so I know Christian really, really wants to talk about it, so before we get to American politics.
With Dan Carlin over here.
Nobody really wants to talk about it.
We all
it's so
know.
exhausting.
Just random question for you guys, because we're, I think, like 3 or 4 months out from an election or something, because we got one of those coming up.
Sure.
Who do you think's going to be the next prime minister? Or which party? Because I actually don't know who's.
I think
I wouldn't have.
I know Andrew Scheer is running for the Conservatives. I know.
Not a chance, though.
I know
not a chance.
Justin
Not a
Trudeau
chance,
is
but hopefully
in the
not.
Liberals.
I wouldn't have minded Jagmeet Singh.
He's the
Yeah, I
NDP guy?
have, like,
Yeah.
Okay.
the NDP has a really strong chance.
Yeah, I was gonna say like that was a really good chance for like the smaller parties to get some seats.
I like the Jagmeet's town halls or whatever you want to call them. They're called Jagmeet and Greets.
He's got my vote.
That sells me.
On
right
that
there.
virtue alone.
I like to, no, man. I think I like what Tom was saying. I think it's a really good opportunity for the smaller parties to get some seats and stuff because like the it's almost like an America-esque situation where, I mean, Trudeau lied about reform and stuff like that, so a lot of people are pretty disappointed in him.
Disillusioned in the Liberal Party in general.
Yeah, just
that's
that.
why we have a PC government in Ontario because people are disillusioned by the
Well,
Liberals.
Well,
Yeah,
I
it was-
mean, to be fair, they're disillusioned, but they're also kind of, I mean, let's just say misguided. I mean, I don't.
Yeah.
I think like if you're not happy with the Liberals and you like know something, then you can't vote for anyone but the Conservative Party, right?
Yeah.
Like give some. So I gave my vote to. I think I voted NDP or Green,
Right.
and just because.
Did you just throw your shoe?
No, that's a rabbit. That's a stuffed rabbit.
Take out the shoe.
Yeah, man, because I think a lot of people are echoing the sentiment of like sheer. The only plans the Conservatives have are to basically say what the plans that the Liberals have made are bad. That's the extent to which a Conservative plan has been made, and the Liberals they're making bad plans. And then you have the other parties who haven't really had a chance, and it's like, well, you know what? I'd rather just give them a shot.
Right.
I agree.
Out of the limited stuff I've heard about Scheer, I've got a friend who's he's not a card-carrying conservative member or anything, but he has voted conservative. He leans that way. He likes Andrew Scheer, but he doesn't like the party. He is also very much against our current premier. I personally think though, we're for the federal election, we're coming up to a point where again, like it was in the provincial one, people are just kind of done with the Liberal Party, so it's going. Someone else, I think, will win. But if we didn't have Doug Ford really messing up Ontario right now,
Oh yeah.
I think there would be a lot more like actual optimism looking at Andrew Scheer. What I do is I look towards the actual election. So in the last 2 months, I skip all the debates because they're crap anyway. Because it's not. Nobody's being like,
It's all
vote
sound
for
bites. It's all sound bites.
Nobody's being like, vote for me because I've got this really good idea. It's like, well, vote for me because my plan isn't their stupid plan. It's if I want to know your plan, so I'll look at your platform.
Whatever they don't want me to do, I'm doing it.
Vote
for me.
I'll actually just read the platform and see what they've got.
Yeah.
And then whoever I find has the best platform or the platform I think will work well, then I'll vote for them. Because debates are crap at this point.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, if Doug Ford wasn't ruining it for it, then I think Scheer would have a better shot. So it's never going to be a Green majority. It will never be a Green majority.
Yeah.
But I voted for them before, and I'm more in favor of more people getting seats. Freaking back in 2008 when Harper was Prime Minister, and they were looking at another vote for majority or minority government or whatever was going on then. It was like a interim election. So many people in my college were like, I'd vote NDP, but there's no point. So I'm going to vote someone else. And I'm like, if I took a sample
All the people who said that.
of all the people
It
who
would make
said
a
that,
difference.
I'm like, 5 out of 10 of y'all are saying you would vote the NDP. Half.
NDP.
Just do it.
Yeah.
Because then even if the Green Party's not going to win, it's going to give them more seats.
Yeah.
It's going to get another voice. And that can only be a good thing.
I think politics is not a zero-sum game, right?
Yeah.
Or if it is, then the sum is your vote never mattered. No matter who you placed it for, no matter if they won or not, it never mattered, right? So it's either every vote matters, no matter even if you're the one person who voted for this one party, then you got the one vote, right? And it's like you can say, oh, you threw your vote away, and it's like,
Well, maybe next time
I hate
People see that there's one
sentiment.
vote and think, oh, I'm going to vote for them too. Then they get two. Then
It's
they
an
get, then
investment.
they get 20.
Yeah.
Right? And it's like, I don't know, man. I mean, one vote never changed anything. Like, it was never like, oh, the Liberal Party came into power because they had one vote more than Conservatives.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it doesn't really matter. But the less, when you're talking about, like, the smaller parties, then it does matter. Like,
Yeah.
even a few, not
Oh,
like
yeah.
3 votes, but you know what I mean? Like, a smaller
A difference of
can do
100 votes.
can do so much more. And it's like, you can say, okay, well, we're not going to see that difference play out within the next 5 or 10 years.
Yeah.
But maybe by the time, you're getting in your old age, you can see a better future for the
Yeah.
younger generation, right?
Well, it's like a party having a party going from no seats to a seat is huge, but going from 1 seat to 2, that's just as huge. Like, that's only good.
Yeah.
The Green Party sitting on like 8 seats or something too.
Something like that.
They had a massive.
I ended up voting them in the last federal election. I can't even remember who I voted provincially. I voted NDP.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people are saying that he's just, Harper 2.0.
Cheer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's just Harper with a smile. Like, he's a very likable guy, which is what makes him
Charismatic
scary.
Well,
Right.
what I think is funny is that even though Harper, I disagree with him, I still felt like he was a competent person, right? And sure, I'm like, okay, so he's like Harper, but without the competence. That's what I'm saying. And then like Ford is like, he's just Trump.
I found this.
A lot of people say Scheer's a lackey. Like he's a bit of a pushover, and Ford will be able to push him around and get whatever he wants.
So just by looking at his face, you got to wonder if he's actually a grown man and not still a baby.
There we go.
Or if he was born with his genitalia on the other side of it's switched around, like he's got a front butt.
A front.
Is that okay?
A front.
It's odd, but
Is it ridiculous enough to
it's
get
ridiculous.
Nothing wrong with the front, but
No, he doesn't. It seems like Harper without the competence or the power or the intelligence or.
I would actually love to meet Stephen Harper, but I can think of a number of any of these politicians. I'd be like, it'd be interesting to just go for a coffee with you.
Yeah.
Not even talk politics.
Let's get in the same room.
Just to be like, let's just just to get to know them as an individual without punching them in the face.
What? Face, neck. It's all good.
yeah. I never
back
specifically said I'm
on the
gonna
back
punch
with a
them.
bag of oranges, oranges, so it doesn't leave
With a bag of oranges. What would a bag of oranges look
That was a
like?
Trumpism.
You've made a fetal mistake.
That wasn't Trumpism.
I think with that.
Trump
almost
orange.
like every day.
Wait, what was that from again?
Oranges.
It was just like we were hanging out and you were like, you made a fetal mistake, and then we were just
Fetal
like, what?
error.
There was a word that he couldn't pronounce, and it was recent.
Oh, Trump or me?
Oh, yeah, it's like he's right here, man. It's his
I can't
podcast.
words. It's documented.
Oh, you said origins.
Donald Trump.
It was
Oranges.
that. It was
Yeah.
that. It was
Origins.
origins and oranges.
Yeah.
Like he kept trying to say it.
It was something else.
No, dude,
there
it was
was another
that.
one, but
There's
yeah,
a-
there was
Something
another
with an
one.
R.
Florida.
One time he tried to say United States, but he said God bless
Whoops.
United States. His brain stopped working.
He just had a stroke.
Yeah, he's having
Stroking
mini
out.
strokes all the time. There's plenty of video evidence for it. Yeah.
Oh, you're gonna look it up on the internet, aren't you?
Yeah.
Totally, I would also love to meet George Bush. I feel like he'd be
He'd be fun to
There
party
was
with.
one.
he'd be
I
a
wouldn't
fun
party
guy.
with George Bush.
He'd be a fun guy to hang out with.
Yeah, have a beer with him,
last week, right?
I was actually saying to some youth, I'm like, I really miss that guy. I didn't agree with every decision he made, but
It's a sorry state of affairs when you want Bush back.
he also knew how to even though he made a lot of mistakes in just public speaking, he also so much of what people don't like about Donald Trump, because when you get past him being moronic with his Twitter and how he just responds negatively to the press, there has been some good things. I've read some good articles where guys I'm a self-identified liberal. I did not vote for this man. I would not vote for this man. But here's 20 things that I think he's actually done really, really well. Okay. But the thing I miss about Bush, though, is he was patient with people. He knew how to be polite to the press.
Diplomatic.
He was very diplomatic. And also,
so charismatic.
And also, if somebody threw a shoe at him, he would dodge and come up with a smile. Like,
Yeah.
I just miss
ready
his
to go.
wonderfully goofy grin. He's
Yeah.
like, you can say you can say the things Trump does, which are terrible, but if you had that goofy grin, you'd be like, I guess this is a joke that I should be inside on. Sorry, Christian, I know you're waiting.
He had he may not have been the smartest guy, and you may have disagreed with what he did and the way he went about doing it. And, like, obviously there are like major problems with the stuff he let Cheney get away with and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Right? But I mean, he still, for the most part, at least in comparison to the current president or administration, he had respect for the Constitution. He had respect for
The American people.
The separation of the branches, the co-equal branches of government. Right? He understood. The reasons that he just, it's a lot of it's built on trust, right? Like, I was saying to Tom, I was saying to everybody, like, with the census question where the courts were like, no, you can't throw that question, and then he was like, I'll just veto it and do it anyway. And it's like, that's not something you can make an executive order on. That's actually basically what he's saying. He's saying that co-equal branch of government, we're not going to listen to them. And the whole system is sort of built on the trust that that's going to happen, right?
He's abusing that.
He's abusing it. It's a very delicate thing, and I think that's one of the biggest slides into fascism that we're seeing, right? Because at first, when he was first elected, I thought that it was kind of hyperbole, right? I was like, right? And then even as it went on, but almost within the past like 2 months, I'm like, okay, things are really like, the cages when he's calling American citizens, telling them to go back to their own country,
right?
Just it's really, really like
the snowball's become an avalanche.
Yeah, it's really starting. It's scary.
Well, and
it's a precedent it sets, man.
Yeah.
Because at this point, like, if the Republicans aren't willing to stand up for the Constitution or or stand up for the country,
the people,
then what are they? Right? They're complicit in a coup.
Yeah.
That was orchestrated by a foreign entity, essentially, right? A hostile foreign power. And it's amazing.
We're talking about Facebook, right?
I guess so, yeah.
There's that in there, too.
I don't know, man. That's why I don't like talking about this, because there's so many things to like,
it's
bring
so
into
aggravating.
this.
There's a lot.
It's
It's huge, and there's a lot to unpack with it. Like, one of the, as you mentioned with Bush, like, I think he had a respect for it because he grew up in it.
Yeah.
Like, his father had been a president, but he had been a senator. He, like, you can go into whether or not he got in over his head or, like, how he made his decisions, but he had the respect for it because he had been through it.
Groomed.
Like we had said in the previous podcast, like, I can understand how Trump got there because in that election, even after Obama, who again did a lot of good things, and to some people he did a lot of bad things, it's a mixed bag. It always will be a mixed bag with the president. But
it's too much power for one person.
So many people were like, I'm done. Like, I don't trust politicians. I don't trust PC culture. I don't trust all this. That the guy who's flagrantly disrespecting all that, I'm in. Like, he's got my vote, and that's not a good thing.
No. What sucks is that it seems like half of the people, because there's a whole bunch of people who would have voted for Bernie and who had voted for Obama but then switched over to Trump. And I think those are the people who are morally anti-establishment. But then there's the other half or like, maybe another, just the majority, who are just essentially racist. And it's there was a quote I read the other day where it was like, what's happening to the American people, what's dawning on them, the people who aren't Trump voters, is that over 40% of their fellow countrymen think that the other, so many percent don't belong, or like that they would kill them, essentially, right? That they feel like they don't have a right to life here, and it's terrifying, right?
But then just for the sake of offering the counterpoint, you can come across a lot of like people of color who are Trump supporters, but they're not necessarily supporting him, but they're supporting the Republican Party because they feel the Democratic Party is like really screwed them over, because it's like, you pander to us for votes.
True.
You set up systems to keep us entrapped, whereas I've got, like, here's a party who's trying to set up stuff so I can get a job, so I can get ahead. And the other side is like, if you don't agree with us, we're throwing you out to dry. Like, you've lost your blackness, you've lost your Latino-ness.
You have to agree on all 10 points.
Exactly. Like,
you can't disagree
with this. You have to toe the party line. So that's where I'm sympathetic to that viewpoint. Where
I 100% empathize with someone who feels that, like, if you're black and you feel like you all of a sudden your blackness is taken away from you if you don't agree with what most black people think you should think, right? Which is in and of itself like a sort of form of racism, I think. But I would say to someone like that, okay, it's sort of like that Randy Newman song "Rednecks," right, where he's talking about the South and what they do to black people, but then at the end of the song he talks about the ghettos and stuff up north where they sort of segregate them into their own, and it's like, okay, yeah, I get being mad at the Democrats because they pander you and stuff, but they're like, as bad as it is under them, it's 10 times worse under the Republicans, and I think there's very little foresight to vote someone in like that, because it's like, okay, yeah, the man's message is that he's like, we're going to drain the swamp, like, I'm not like them, I'm not part of the establishment, I'm going to tear it all down. It's like, okay, but also look at everything that he's done in his life as a person, right? Yeah. Just maybe think about like, oh wow, would I want this person representing me in any way? Would I trust them? Right. Like, why? Like,
I will go on the record now saying I will be surprised if it's anybody but Bernie that would actually take the presidency next time around.
I think he's going to the Democratic Party screwing him over.
Yep. The only reason I say that is because you see too many things online where it's the attitude of the party, like it's anybody but Trump. Yeah. And Trump or Bernie. And Trump is basic, like the way Trump is playing it. He's like, no, I'm trying to do. Like, to give credit where it's due, he has established, like, there's stuff going on with North Korea. He he did help foster some potential peace. You can get into...
Do you want to talk about that?
I would like to mention every American president had the ability to go and meet with the leader of North Korea. The only reason they didn't is because the leader of North Korea isn't going to give up anything. They're not going to compromise. Yeah. And for them, they just use it as propaganda for their own people. So all that Trump did was make him look more legitimate on the world stage. Yeah. And he got nothing. If anything, now they're becoming more brazen. They're doing more tests. It's the
fair. No.
It's really just Trump just likes to make friends with dictators.
On a side note,
he is one.
I love your like aggressive noises whenever you're like, I've got something to say, but I gotta.
He's an authoritarian, man, and he likes other authoritarians, and I think people who really like his sycophants, I think they're authoritarians in and of themselves, right? Like I was saying to the guys, like I watched this video of a young Turks reporter. Don't really like the Young Turks, whatever.
Yeah, not a fan either.
Yeah, but she was interviewing a Trump supporter, and she was saying that they had Trump on video with a blatant lie or saying something, and the woman was like, "No, that's fake news." And it's like, you have a video, and you're saying that it's fake news.
Yeah, your opinion does not trump facts.
That's why you can watch the Mueller testimony and then listen to his little press conference at the White House after, and believe him, because these people they don't and actually that's actually a personality trait that is associated with conservative values, right? People that are more loyal.
Right.
That's why they vote that's why they're all the Republicans. That's why they're not standing up for anything. They're not standing up for the people. They're not standing for the Constitution. They're not standing for the rule of law or America or anything like that. They're like, he's a Republican. We're Republicans. If he's in power, we're in power. We're keeping that power, right? And then when you look at the long game, the Republicans have been playing for like decades now with gerrymandering and voter suppression and other ways, like all that stuff. Stacking the courts. Mitch McConnell.
He's allowing everything. Just the other day, he blocked the bill to voter security. Yeah.
Dirt on the back of your shirt from the bench.
How much?
A lot.
And it's all have you been following what Jon Stewart's been doing with 9/11?
Yeah, I love that picture of that turtle, that old geriatric turtle just shuffling down the hall, and then Jon Stewart's like
smiling. But did you see it was probably a month ago, he did
his plea.
His plea.
To the court.
It was like if they had any souls, the people that were listening, they should have been moved.
Yeah. Yeah.
The thing, like they'll spend trillions of dollars on a tax cut for the wealthy, but to give 9/11 first responders a little sliver of that money to have health care for the rest of their short, miserable lives, because they're suffering from,
they're gonna die soon.
They're gonna die soon. No, forget it. They're not gonna allow that. It's a waste of money.
It's disgusting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely disgusting. There's no morals.
And then even after all that, there was still another Republican pushing for the bill because they agreed to it, and then all of a sudden they're pushing for it again to be cut.
Yeah.
The thing is,
Are you kidding me?
They're such hypocrites, man. They'll like, and even like when you look at Lindsey Graham, when he's one of the ones who spearheaded the impeachment proceedings against Bill Clinton, and now he won't touch Trump. And it's like the guy, like Bill Clinton's sex life is nobody's business, dude. It has nothing to do with the effect on the country, unless he was cheating on his wife with Russian spies or something, which Monica Lewinsky was not. Which Trump basically has, right? Like
I'm pretty sure a lot of
the amount of treason
he's
he's committed in plain sight.
Yeah, and they all say they're Christians too.
Yeah.
Like,
He even said he would welcome the help again.
You see Mike Pence standing in front of all those children in cages and those people starving and sitting in their own filth, and he's just like, like,
America.
That's not how you treat people, man.
And they deny that they're concentration camps. They're concentration camps.
In effect, they are concentration.
They are.
Yeah. In the way they operate, in the way they look. It was funny. I was talking to Tommy about it. I was talking to my aunt, and I was like, I kind of felt sort of put off. I don't know why. It just seemed like I'm also a stickler for like use the right words for the right things.
The
right?
term was kind of putting me off for a while.
But in effect, when you have people who survive concentration camps saying that, that
That's
is
a
a concentration camp, then it's like, okay, well, I'm going to have to take your word for it.
Yes.
I'm
no longer upset by the use of that word.
Yeah.
Right.
You seem to be the authority on
Calling
this.
a spade is okay.
But what are the racial origins of that?
Calling a spade a spade.
Like, you seem to be a pro at this.
So calling a spade. The origin story. So it doesn't refer to a deck of cards. It refers to a gardening tool, like a spade, right?
Yeah.
So
Did you look that up?
no,
Oh, okay.
people
You
would
just know
say,
this?
"Well, you asked me."
So do you get in trouble for things like this often?
I majored in English. I don't get paid to tell you things. This is the only thing that I'm good at.
I was about to say, like, one of the many, many, many jobs Darko's had. At one point, you were a TA.
Yep.
TNA.
I was a TNA wearing TNA pants.
Oh, goodness.
Gross.
Really?
Yeah, they allowed
For
that.
Darko.
They made an exception.
You had your TNA pants with your Uggs boots and your friggin' pumpkin spice or whatever. You were the basic white girl.
Did it say juicy on the rear end?
I had a tramp stamp of a Chinese character.
You thought it said water. But
Oh, where was the tramp stamp? What was the?
Which one?
There's a joke. Something about the tramp stamp. Somebody.
You don't have to add, that's not offensive. You don't have to edit that out, right?
just use that to go over his swears.
Yeah, use that for the swearing.
Oh, goodness.
Oh, you guys don't know. I was at work and I said something, and then Luke was like, "That's what my tramp stamp says," and I can't remember what it was. It was so funny. Oh my gosh.
Was it blah, blah, blah in my pants?
Enter here.
It was like one word, but it was like a made up word that we made up. Like it was just. It was
funny.
It was like a play on another word. I'm sorry, this is not interesting.
It's going nowhere.
Yeah, I really wish I knew. I almost want to just text him, like, man, what does your tramp stamp say again? Butt baby or something like that. Like,
Butt baby.
it was something like that.
I don't know how to react to that.
Yeah, that's funny.
That's why sometimes I'll call Monica that, and then I'm like, because you were a fart. Oh, we have an interesting back and forth.
It sounds like it from the stories we've been told.
Butt baby. Yeah, like, your mom farted and now you're here.
Oh, jeez.
That's the least offensive origin story.
You guys
You
get along?
things they say to each other.
Yeah, it's
The rest are not podcast worthy.
very fun.
They just do.
You don't need enemies.
Yeah, no, we never. Neither of us had siblings, so I think there's like this sort of like this like we mess with each other, like we sort of I don't know. It's not like bully each other because it's not mean, and we don't say things
you
that
nag each other.
No, it's not nag. It's like no,
Not nag.
No,
nag.
I'm just gonna ignore that.
You're mispronouncing words. Excuse me.
But yeah, no, it's a lot of I think we have a really good back and forth. It's
A
nothing,
repartee.
Yeah, nothing's ever said where it's like truly mean,
hurtful.
Yeah. That's the sort of relationship we have. It's very mean and funny. Kind of like our relationship.
Yeah.
It seems to be the nature of the relationships I have with people.
That's accurate for for the 5 of us.
Yeah.
If only the listeners could see our WhatsApp chat.
Oh, that's man. good. I'm really liking the WhatsApp chat, man. Like for a long time.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, like I was pretty depressed, and I just didn't want to I don't know. I just couldn't engage, I guess. But like now, I'm starting.
PSC all the way.
What?
Whose idea was that?
To what?
A WhatsApp chat.
Oh, that was you?
Yes.
Well, yeah, Darko.
Oh, yeah, because you couldn't
Darko
get
asked
a
for
text
it because
But somebody else created it.
But I was the one who made everybody download it.
Yes.
He points at me and says somebody else. Like I don't have a name.
No, I
Me?
pointed in this general direction. I wasn't pointing at you.
Who did that? Does that mean
Darko.
Darko? What's wrong with
else.
you? You jerk.
Darko asked me if we could do it because he's like, I'm getting everybody's texts out of order. I've got no idea of
And
the context.
I had to download text. I'm like, this isn't functional or efficient in any way.
I think the one time you did respond, I got a random message from a number I didn't recognize.
Yeah.
I was like, who is this?
How do they know what we're talking about?
Well, no, there was no context. It was just a message with the reply, and I was like, I don't know what he's replying to. I had no idea who it was, and I was like, I'm just going to delete this.
I think that night where we decided, like, yeah, we'll just do it, just because I messaged you guys being like, hey, can we just do this?
Yeah, I was like,
I feel bad for
already have
Darko because
WhatsApp,
we're talking
so, yeah.
about like 5 different things and it makes sense to us. But
Yeah.
he's getting a random message being like, blah, 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 in my pants or whatever with no context.
Yeah.
In my pants.
I just remember being like, if it was me, I would feel bad being left out, right?
Yeah.
And so I was like,
It was more annoying than...
But it sucks, man, because the 4 of us are all chatting, and it's
Sure.
like you can't engage, and it's like you're just sort of like kicked out, right? And it's like that's not cool. That's really not cool. And if it were me, I'd feel really bad. So I don't.
So what we should do is make it.
Kick Christian out. I wouldn't be surprised now that I'm actually starting to chat with you guys. Like,
Yeah.
oh, this guy.
Wouldn't do that to you, buddy. If we did, it would have been like back at. So if we were gonna kick each other away, it would have happened friggin' back in middle school.
Yeah, like
Well,
did
also,
the
we wouldn't
dancing.
kick you out. We would just start another chat group with them.
Oh, that's so mean. I would assume.
And we'd chat in both.
I
We
was-
call it the non-Christian group.
Oh, poor Christian.
I would assume you just sit me down and be like, look, man, like what you're doing is not cool. You gotta alter your behavior, right?
It's like this, but Tommy and Mike would be on this side of the table as well, and you'd
I'd just be sitting here.
You'd be like the boil.
It'd be like a weird group.
We had to teach
like-
you how to message.
Have you guys
properly.
ever had one of those
No,
group,
you're great.
like those interviews where it's like you
Interventions,
about
or?
no interviews where it's like you and then 4 people on the other side? It feels like an intervention.
it's
I had
terrifying.
one like that.
This sucks.
Like an intervention.
It ended with me saying, but this isn't a real interview. And then the one was like, yeah, it is. I looked at the rest of them. I was like, I'm pretty sure it's not. And then I got up and I left. It was really awkward.
Wait, what do you mean? Those are the only interviews I've ever had.
Really?
Where it's like a panel? Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, I've
Two
had
people. but
no,
not
I've
more.
had a couple interviews
Usually
where
just
it's like
one for
me with one person, and then when you get to the second interview, it's like you with 2 people.
It's like hiring manager, HR,
Yeah.
media director.
But then I've also had interviews where the weirdest interview I've ever had was a group interview where there was the panel.
Oh, yeah.
But then there was like 4 or 5 other people in there, and you're like, this is awkward because everybody has their own interview style, everybody has their own personality.
Also, you
Like, there
asked
was-
the same question
there was
all
someone
time. Like, I can't just be like what he
There
said.
was someone I got along with really
not an
well,
effective way of-
but then afterwards they were upset when I got the job and they didn't, and they were like, "Oh, okay, I guess if I made a bunch of sarcastic jokes, that might have got me the job." And I'm
Grow up.
like, I got why though. Like, there was no bad blood between us. It was just a job they really, really wanted. Where I'm like,
Well, that would have given me bad blood towards
that would have
Like,
been
Don't make those
like
comments towards me.
I'm empathetic towards that because they didn't know I knew, and they weren't deliberately trying to like bad talk me. Just it would have happened if it was anybody. But that's where I'm like, those group interviews are weird because it really changes the dynamics. Because also a lot of like in that situation, it's like a lot of these people are your friends. And it's different if you're if you know you're having interviews, like you're all going for the job, but you can be like, yeah, good luck. But then in that group setting, it's like, yo, we're in sudden competition with each other. We got to look at each other. It really adds attention to it.
Yeah.
It's really freaking weird.
Yeah.
I'm glad I've never interviewed for a job with a friend, like going for that same job. Like, to me, that's foreign to me.
There's been a couple times where I've gone for a job or someone else I've known has gone for the job, and they're like, "I know you want to go for this. Is it okay?" I'm like, "Yeah, dude. Whoever gets the job will get the job, and that's like that's how it's going to be. They got the job, I didn't. And it's like, all right, right on. It sucks. I wanted the job, but clearly they were a better fit.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not going to be pissed off at you for being a better fit for a
No,
job.
yeah, no, I'm not saying I would. I'm just saying I'm glad I haven't been in that situation vying for the same job as a friend of mine.
That sucks, man. There's a lot of situations. Sorry, Darko, you wanted to say something earlier. What were you going to say?
The calling a spade thing.
Come on! Never giving you the benefit of the doubt. Never again. Oh,
I'm the only person in your corner.
you just trumped me in the face.
Nice.
No, I'm actually in that position right now where me and a coworker of mine who have become good friends over the past year are applying for the same job downtown. And it's a very supportive process because we're helping each other with each other's resumes. And then so it's very collaborative in that way. It's not. It's
So
less of a competition. Well,
you can.
yeah.
It feels almost Survivor-esque, which is insane. Like, we have to befriend someone knowing, like, in the very end, it's like, okay, like...
I might have to slit your throat.
it's...
But just going through the application process of applying for this job that will put you in a more progressive tier so that you'll... Like, even that phase alone will make you a better applicant down the road. Like, it'll better you in some way. Whether you get the job or not, that part of the process will sort of... you'll level up from that alone.
Yeah, like any experience you can use to make yourself better, right?
Exactly.
To improve yourself.
Yeah.
I was gonna say it's sort of like that's one aspect of a lot of like. I've been thinking a lot lately about how like we're sort of forced. Like you get paid for your labor, right? But at the same time, it's sort of like
Not enough.
Well, yeah, there's that. Well, there is that. There's definitely that. But it's also, it's like, is anyone doing what they want to do? And it's not even like what I want to, like, I want to lay around all day and blah, 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 and do nothing. It's not even that.
Something you're passionate about.
Yeah, exactly. Do you even have the opportunity to find that out, never mind do it? You know? And it sucks, man. It really feels like we're slaved against the better parts of our nature. Right?
I'm getting paid for what I do, but it's not what I want to do. Like, I think to do what you love, you got to love what you do.
Yeah.
And I'm certainly I didn't graduate university or graduate high school thinking I would be in the quantitative methods field. Mm-hmm. No, I'm not.
Those are some like $4 worth. Dang it!
That's a trouble.
Whatever it is, you can't afford it.
Whatever the currency, whatever the denomination, just forget it.
$4 words. Dang it!
I do that all the time, man. Yeah, but
I can say definitively no.
But it's like, you don't even have the opportunity to figure out what you're passionate about or what you would like to do with your life or how you would like to improve the world, right?
Or even now that I'm starting to, I'm realizing I'm too old to actually like do the things that I wanted. I want to really do.
Sorry, Mike. I know you.
Yeah, I was going to say, like you were saying you didn't graduate high school or university or whatever.
Period. Yeah.
With the intention.
Fake my degrees and everything.
Like I've worked for the library for 18 years now.
Right.
I never. I intended to quit.
Nuts.
I intended to quit 13 years ago.
Yeah.
But I just kept going, getting a different job. And I'm fortunate enough that in the past couple months ago, I moved into a position where I'm now enjoying my days within the library. I'm back in a department I worked for happily for a long time, and it's good times. It's finally, things are starting to look good again.
Good, man.
Everything's coming up, Millhouse.
Yeah, pretty much.
Oh, my freaking ears.
It's a temporary position that might be permanent soon. I'm just filling in for a guy, and he might be leaving. Going back to what we talked about a couple minutes ago, how you were helping, or you're in competition with a friend.
Yeah.
I was in competition with a friend of mine at work. He got the job. All power to him.
Yeah.
I look at what he's doing now in that job, and I say, it's a good thing he got that job because I have no idea what he's doing. I never intended to be where I am.
Yeah, same here. I don't think any of us are. Really?
I don't think I'll ever be, man. And sometimes
I never wanted to come to Chris's house.
I'm trying to figure out if I'm even a good enough person to have like a proper passion, right? Like the proper like motivation to do things. And I'm like, I'm wondering if my motivations are all really bad, so I'm really not even gonna. It's like it seems like we're fighting against the worst parts of our nature. too, right? And that, in that essence, trying to figure out who you are and what you want out of life and what you want to contribute to the world and what that means to you.
It's really interesting just because as we're talking about like how we're not necessarily really passionate about what we do, it's, I don't know what it is, like our generation and generations afterwards, it's all like, you need to go and do what you love. You need to do this, like pursue your passions, and then you can make the most of it. Blah blah blah.
You don't know who they are.
No, well, we haven't discovered it, but also I don't know if that's necessarily a practical example.
No,
just because like our parents, like their work weeks were 80 hours. A lot of them were like working farms or smaller, like. I'm passionate. I love doing the podcast and all that. Sure, it'd be wonderful to make money off of it, but I'm a long friggin' ways away from that happening. That is something I can work on.
You need to start showing more skin.
That's, but that's
Big
not
sexy.
but that's not necessarily something.
Movies together.
Oh, sir, that's not something I can necessarily do. I need to have a job that pays the bills.
Yeah.
How many people?
That's
So many people I knew wanted to pursue like. Oh, I want to do this. I want to do this. It's like that's great, but that's not necessarily that's not going to pay the bills.
But,
and that's where I like the old
and
that
the bills
little bit.
Skyrocketed.
But that's
so
what I
much
like a
that
little bit of that older mentality where it's like a job can be a job. It doesn't have you don't have to love it, but if you hate it, if you like,
you have the freedom to change that.
Exactly, then change it.
At the same time, sorry, Christian, I know you're
go on, man.
twitching
No,
over
I'm
there
sorry.
like a
Yeah,
fish out of water.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you have to be realistic and say, you can follow your dreams, but it's not going to pay the bills. You have to do something that will. But at the same time, don't deny yourself.
Yeah.
Or don't shut anyone else down, saying, you're never going to make it, or it's not going to do it for you. Go ahead, Christian.
Awesome. Okay, so I have a good, I have a really good example of this. Like, for instance, like, okay, so I always want to be a rock star, right? And obviously, and I was thinking, oh, well, I really like music. Maybe I could teach music to people. Yeah. And then I thought, well, all that's going to remind me of is how old I am and how young they are, and also
and how much you want to be on the other side of the table.
Yeah, that, and it's like that's not like the part about being a rock star is like, yeah, I like music, I like composing, I like that feeling of like I made this, blah blah. Like I like all that, but what I really like is the ego part of it. That's what really appeals to me. And I recognize that. I'm like, okay, well, clearly that's not like an avenue for me. But there's other interests I have. There's other parts of my personality that I think I should cultivate, right? And I think like there are career choices that would, but I just don't know what they are. Like I don't, I kind of feel like I don't know myself that well to really. And I think a lot of people like they go their entire lives without knowing themselves because they don't have the opportunity because they have to work just to survive, right?
Yeah.
And I think we live in a society where we have enough money, and if everything was actually done properly, people would have a lot more freedom,
right?
And they'd be a lot better off and a lot happier, right?
I mean, if there was more what's the word I'm looking for? More financial equality. Is that what you're saying?
Absolutely, 100%.
Right.
Yeah, communist.
Well, I mean, it just seems like right now that the richer are
getting richer.
Yeah, it's like there's a boat and it's sinking, and they're just like continuously being put onto the top floor type of thing, and we're all just taking the brunt of it because so they can do it.
The classes, if you want to call them that, are becoming both lesser and more pronounced at the same time.
Yeah, it hasn't been this way since like medieval times. Like that when there were serfs.
Dinner and tournament.
And then I've been there.
It used to be like the Black Knight was always
hand sanitizer when you show up because you're eating with your hands. You just come off the subway or whatever.
It's
anyway.
My hands are filthy.
My hands are filthy. Exactly.
It's interesting just because I wish with school there was a different setup to it. As much as I graduated a year later than you guys did.
Yeah.
But which I was like, man, I don't want to go because none of my friends are there. But the last couple of years, as odd as it was, where I'm like, I've got all electives except for like when I was in 12th grade and I had to complete grade 10 business. That was a little weird. But getting to choose your classes, I was like, I'm actually motivated to do these things. Yeah. Like, if you can do the mandatory classes, but make them not where it's like your entire first year and your entire second year is mandatory, but if you had the stuff where it's like, this is what you need.
Half and half.
to graduate. This is what you need to get that. Like, this is the standard of education, which you can get through. I know they changed the term from GED to the equivalency or whatever, which is like, then why would I go to high school for 4 years instead of doing this? But if you could change the model where it's like you're getting that stuff that you need, but then presented with much more choice,
I think there's
I'd love that.
I think there's this aspect of like, when you're a kid and people are telling you, oh, this is going to happen, you're going to feel like you wasted your life, all this, like, make the most of the time you have now, all that stuff, and you're like, save your platitudes, or you listen to them and you're like, that's probably true, but you don't, like, you don't, it doesn't hit home. And like now, when I look back, I'm like, I would love to go back to high school because I would love to be able to take all this stuff seriously. And it'd be interesting, like, how the Amish, that's a sound in dumb. The Amish, they have Rumspringa?
No, I don't.
Are you speaking English? What?
Rumspringa. Yeah, where they go.
That's where they're like 16-year-olds. They leave the faith for a while. They
okay. 1 year.
Yeah, they get up
and
to
they get to explore whatever they want.
To experience the English world.
Oh,
yeah, the rest of the world, they get dressed like everybody else.
Okay.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So there's no judgment of the things that they do, and then they can come back or choose to be excommunicated.
I feel in some way
I never heard of that.
there should be some sort of similar experience for high school students. Where it's like you're sort of put in a position where it's like you have to, and I know it's ridiculous, it's not practical, it doesn't make any sense, but I would love
where you're going now.
Yeah, like I'd love for it to be like you have to survive on your own for a year, and then you come back to school and you're like, oh, I'm going to need this, right?
You have that option. You have that option to leave and go to work. And if you think school is so terrible, go out there and work for a year.
That's where I didn't have the best
I
experience.
dropped out. I worked, and look at me. I hate it.
I hate my life.
I didn't have the best experience in college, but I did have a year off in between.
Yeah.
And then seeing the kids who were coming fresh out of high school into that year, I was like, oh man, you need a year in between.
Yeah, you need to think about
there was because the one guy was just there because his parents were like, no, you're going to school. But also he was like, he didn't hand in homework assignments, and he's like, well, why would I hand it in? The teacher hasn't asked for it. It's like, you're paying to be here. Or in this case, your folks are paying for you to be here.
Well, that's why parents shouldn't just force their kids to go to college right away, too.
Yeah.
Because if you're going to pay for this, you better make damn sure that your kid knows what they want to do.
Yeah, they don't know who they are.
Yeah,
they don't know what they want to
give
do.
them time to find that out.
And I'd love to see some, like, that's where I'd love to see some of that more. Some of that more in high school, because if the whole model of education is like, here's the stuff that gets you the general equivalency or whatever the heck it's called, but then we want you to pursue the higher education, you need to make sure like you're actually setting them up for a reason. It's not an expectation. They want to go.
Yeah.
Like the I can't describe it exactly. I'll get my cousin Sam to do a much better job of it later, but the English system, like, it's set up for that, where it's like the last 2 years, it's really like helping you figure out what you want to do. So then when you go to the next, like when you go to that next level, you're like, okay, no, I'm here.
But
I want to be
our
here.
Our system's set up to make factory drones, and we don't have factories anymore. So
okay, isn't the post-secondary education, is that free?
I think there is some
cost.
There's some cost. I don't think it's not Sweden or Switzerland where it's like absolutely free.
I wonder if that not only is it like just a social good to do that to prepare kids, but it's also it will mitigate the cost of having kids who will go and then get nothing out of it, right?
Yeah.
Where the dropout rates.
Schmoke.
Yeah, governments over here, they fail to see the benefits of low-cost education.
Yeah.
Like, Dougie has cut OSAP, right?
Right.
But he doesn't understand that these are loans. They get money back with interest, plus they're investing in the future.
Yeah.
See, now,
right?
I don't necessarily disagree with cutting some of OSAP, just because I've had friends and loved ones be on the other side of those loans, where the interest on those loans is extremely high.
Oh, well, yeah.
And you shouldn't be 5-10 years later still paying off your education.
But I think it should be a more transparent process.
Right, yeah.
Not that you should cut it, but you should
really rein it in.
Well, you should make sure that the students are cognizant of just what they're getting into when they take out one of those OSAP loans.
Or
not get out of.
Or cut that, to me, I've got no problem with people paying for some of their school. Like, some of the school. The prices are nuts.
And they're rising.
The prices are insane. But I don't know if I'd say, 100% free, but cutting down or what they're doing in some cases where it's like, if, depending on your tax bracket, basically, like,
Yeah.
we'll set it like like setting it up like that. I'm all for. Sorry, it's adorable that Luna's just watching them.
Yes.
She misses people once they're out, man. She's got a shepherd, but. Like, the loan should not be that high. Like,
no, there shouldn't be crippling loans.
A couple times ago, when we talked, we were talking about how in the States you shouldn't have to mortgage your house for a procedure for healthcare.
Yeah, you shouldn't have to choose between your house or your health.
Yeah, I don't think you should have to choose between like 10 years of income, because as the model in North America is like. It used to be in your 20s, you move out, you buy your place or whatever. Now it's your 30s, and I think part of that is like people don't necessarily know where they're going to go after high school or university or the stuff they're pursuing. There's not necessarily any jobs in it, but then also it's like for the next 5 to 10 years they're paying off their student loans.
Yeah.
Like, why am I paying $100 on the textbook that I only open 4 times over 12 weeks?
Well, yeah, that's what I hear a lot is that people are forced to buy a textbook that by the time they get it, it's out of date.
Yeah.
And they open it maybe once.
Yeah.
And it's hundreds of dollars.
I lucked out because my mom paid for my school.
Yeah.
She loaned for my brother, who went to a different, much more expensive school with a much more expensive program, for his first semester. And she was like, "I will give you the same amount I gave your brother," because she's very much like, "No, it's got to be fair." So, Ma, thank you. And then it covered my whole program. Because I wasn't going to University of Waterloo for accounting. I was going to George Brown for social service work. But then I covered my textbooks, and by the second year, I didn't buy a book.
Yeah.
Like, one person in a friend group bought a book, we all chipped in, and then we all photocopied what chapters we knew. Because we're like, why are we spending $500 on textbooks when we're opening? Most of the times we open them twice over the course of the semester.
I only ever bought one textbook. I was asked or required or whatever to buy maybe 3 or 4, but I only ever bought the one. Never ever opened it. It's still sitting in my sitting in my old bedroom.
Yeah.
Never used it.
Yeah.
You might have an interesting perspective on this, though, because you've been on the other side. You've been on the faculty side, the TA and all that.
Yeah, I did a TA-ship, and then I got my own first-year course as a contract position, and then I taught at NIC on Vancouver Island. But I think, post-grad is just a modern corporation. It's a postmodern corporation. It's a system that's designed to rake in as much money as possible. And I really disagree with how it's built now.
Yeah. It shouldn't be education or health for profit.
Yeah. It's not helpful to students. And not only that, but they don't get the information that they need. They just kind of see that high school certainly isn't enough to make you competitive for the market. And then so university becomes an option at whatever cost.
Yeah.
No matter what that cost is.
Well, the problem that students are facing now, and correct me if I'm wrong, if you've heard otherwise, or you know otherwise because you've been in it, is that people are getting their degrees and then they're doing post-grad or whatever, they're doing advanced, and it doesn't matter, they're still not getting the jobs. There's still no jobs to get, or it's not worth it. They could have got the job without doing that extra level.
I don't think so entirely. I think a bachelor's qualifies you to work at Starbucks, which is what I did, because I was told on multiple occasions that wasn't really enough in so many ways.
That's unfortunate. That's kind of what what I'm getting at, though. A bachelor's degree from a university,
totally.
And you're working at Starbucks.
And then there's me down here with my 2-year diploma.
Yeah, I have a 3-year diploma, and I'm doing all right, but it has nothing to do with my diploma.
There are other ways to circumvent the system, but I went with further graduate study, so I got a master's degree, and I found that made a huge difference.
Yeah.
So a bachelor's degree underqualifies you.
He's so like, don't touch me.
When I was laying over there, I had one eye open to make sure nobody was putting their on my forehead.
That was a possibility.
Lovely.
I know.
Let's test you with my.
I know you 4.
I know you're
maybe not
4.
Chris,
I haven't done that.
Hey,
but him for sure.
These guys.
Come on.
This guy over here.
Darko before me.
No, I don't think so.
Definitely you before Darko.
I would
more malicious. He would cut me.
Yeah, that's actually quite true. We stopped pranking Darko because it'd be like,
I'm gonna cut you so bad. You're gonna wish I didn't cut you so bad.
hey, you flicked that thing at me? I'm gonna punch you in the face.
Mike just stopped hanging out with us. He disappeared from the group chat. I don't know what happened.
Ever since he read The Art of the Deal, he's just been really violent.
Really invested in
through
us.
Rubik's Cube at you?
Yeah.
Hi, baby.
I don't even know what I did to you.
I remember the bacon.
So one time we were sitting in Darko's place and we were watching TV, and Darko whipped. I don't think he whipped, but
No, I gently.
It was not a gentle
it had a decent arc.
Yeah.
But he threw. Let's just say threw. He threw a Rubik's Cube at my face. I wasn't even looking.
Oh,
and I just without looking, grabbed it and turned to look at him like, are you a psycho?
Of all things, like sharp corners and all.
No, it hurt. So I don't know.
That's got some weight to it. That would hurt.
And sharp edges.
I still think about that. What did I do to him?
I wake up in the night terrified.
Yeah.
You just wake up with sweats. Darko.
For your entire life, you'll be catching Rubik's Cubes.
Yeah, because I never grew up with siblings, so I can't fathom.
Nor did I.
Can't fathom the mind
Yeah, right.
of someone who would do that without any provocation or reason. I'm
sure there was something.
Like, what did I do?
Yeah, like that was like an era where all we were doing was messing with each other.
Sure.
So
I'm sure you were breathing
there
the wrong
was
way
something
or
that
blinking at me funnily.
You were in my peripherals and infuriating
You
me.
heard my
just-
peripherals offensively.
Existing.
that's my seat.
Assaulting my peripherals.
Oh, man.
Yeah, they took his chair, man. Never take a man's chair.
Did I? Was that what happened?
I don't remember.
You have calmed down a bit.
A bit.
Well, yeah, you don't. We're not afraid of you killing us anymore when we make a joke.
Yeah, I should really get.
So much happened.
I got
The
terrified.
person with his PTSD is not
Give it up.
amused right now.
Hey everyone, hope you enjoyed today's episode. We will be back next week with part 3, the final part of A Conversation with 5 Friends. Hope you enjoyed. Have a wonderful day, and God bless, my friends. Take care.